Correct. All right. So now, Ms. Peterkin.
Okay. And I agree with Mr. Coachman, and I think a problem, and this goes back to what Mr. McDonald was saying about how much we're spending on the Wallace School. When we build something, if we don't go ahead and do what we need to do when we're first start building, then we're going to have problems later. That's what happened in Clio. Because they were worried about costs, they wanted to hold back on doing things, and Clio didn't get everything that they needed. And now we have to fight to find the money to do what needs to be done in Clio. Across our county, we have made capital improvements, but we have a lot more to go. We need the money. The penny sales tax, I don't know if anybody's heard, but that's brought in more money than we thought was going to happen to begin with. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for everybody buying in Marlboro County, because that is helping out your county. When you purchase in Marlboro County, it helps improve our schools. But still, the question comes down to money. Nobody wants us to raise property taxes. And I want us to increase the millage. So I ask you, everybody, realistically, where are we going to get the money? Now, we're going to do our hardest to find it. But if you're talking about suing us when we're trying to do the best interest for our students, I say we need to be, like I said, mindful that we're going to do everything that we can for Clio, Bennisfield, McCall, the whole county pretty much. Well, you say, work with us.
Ms. Nation.
We do have a 5-year capital improvement plan, which is on our website, I understand. And if it isn't, it will be after tonight. And the reason we have developed a 5-year plan is because we don't have millions and millions of dollars to do the things we would love to do. However, the situations at McCall and Clio are long-standing problems that have been brought to our attention any number of times. The Clio situation, much like what happened at Bennisfield Middle, which is now another school, to pave for basketball courts and nets is very inexpensive. That we should do immediately. The other things that we're talking about, we can afford to do it. The auditorium, on the other hand, is going to take, we hear, $1 million. I just want to get that out there. So if we want to work together, we can do it. We have made more money on the penny tax, and we have saved money by recapitalizing our bonds. Several $1 million, it has reduced our debt. So we can do this and look ahead to do even more. Thank you.
Mr. Goff.
I appreciate Mr. Coachman with the foresight to bring this back up. I do think that the property acquisition that we've discussed previously and the locker rooms, I think those are two things that within our capital improvement funds that we have now, I think both of those things are doable. Don't have an issue with working to try and secure the funds for the bigger project. We do have a capital improvement plan, and Dr. Tiller has some very, I don't know what the right word is, she has some other ideas for things that she would like to see improved in other areas around the district related to our facilities. And so those things are under consideration as well. And but naturally, I'll support all three.
I like to say that we are aware of the improvements that's needed throughout the county. I have especially been adamant about getting something done about the Bennisfield Intermediate School. I know Ms. Onasian has also. The fact that that auditorium is going to cost a lot of money, I'm really not caring. The kids still need an auditorium. The building needs to be fixed. And just as we can find the money to do other things, we're going to try to find the money to do something with that school also.
Mr. Branch?
Thank you, Mr. Coachman, for making this motion. Thank you for Mr. Woods and to the Clio community for bringing these things to our foresight. It's important that we start working on these things immediately. I think that we entrust our administration to make these decisions, and I'm sure that they'll put these things in the right order that we need to get them done. So I'm glad that we're moving in the right direction.
Ms. Fleming?
Thank you. I concur with what has been said about the property that we plan to do, but I just want to have the mic, Mr. Best. Thank you for coming. I have served on the Head Start Board, Chesterfield Marlboro EOC Head Start Board for 33 years on that board, and this is the first year that they have not fulfilled their quota. They serve 506 children. As of Saturday, they're still short by 16. Reason being, the new school in Blenheim. People are sending their children to the new school in Blenheim. You abut Chiraw, and some of your Wallace children go to the Head Start program in Chiraw. When the parents and the children see that new school come up in Wallace, they are going to put them in the public schools. Now, to Mr. McDonald, bring the lawsuit on. I'll go to jail for children in a heartbeat. Ms. Henson came to us 2 meetings back and told us the situation with the population. You said 2009 you had 334 children. 2014 you got 416 children. We need to prepare for those children and prepare adequate like we're supposed to do. This is what a board's supposed to do. And whatever we need to do, we have our legal people here, we need to do this. I am telling you from my Head Start experience, we always had a waiting list. This year we can't find the children. Trust me, when it comes to Wallace, you're going to have that same problem because a new school, everybody's going to go to the new school. Thank you very much.
Ms. McLean?
Clio Concerned Citizens, thank you for turning up. And you all heard all of the comments from the board members. Now, I don't know whether they mean it sincerely. I know we mean it sincerely. Also, and I don't know whether it's planned for the camera, but one of the things that the Clio Concerned Citizens told me the other night at the meeting is we're going to come back and we're going to come back and we're going to keep coming back because our children are important to us. And we want the things in our town as the other schools have in their town. So concerned citizens, you heard it from these board members, hold them to the fire. Keep coming back. We want the best for our children also.
All right. Since we have an amount for the property acquisition of the McCall School, do you all want to consider moving ahead with the purchase of that property while it's available prior to
Madam Chair.
getting the other?
No.
Madam Chair,
No.
Yes.
do we have a price for the locker rooms in Clio? I mean, we've been looking at that also. So if you have the price for the locker rooms and the land, maybe we can do both of those projects at this time to move forward. I don't know if Mr. Park, do you have we here?
No information. I couldn't hear.
Can you, maybe next meeting bring that back to us and we can make it.
Well, okay.
In any
Madam Chair, may I
just wanted
just
to
interject
throw out
something?
the possibility that we could
No.
complete the acquisition of the McCall property tonight
No.
and then delay.
No, I don't think we need to vote it. May I interject something, Madam Chair?
Ms. McClain?
Yes. There's a lot of needs in Clio, but one of the biggest needs that we have right now, we need awnings. When it rains, these kids get wet, and I said this before. We need awnings. And that's not a real big budget item. That's the first thing we need to look at. Second thing we need to look at is we need fencing so we can keep our children secure. That's not a big budget item. So we don't need to be finding places to find money for that. In our district improvement plan, we should have money for awnings and fencing. That's high priority. Am I right, folks, Clio? Thank you.
And let me just say, just to elaborate,
Hey, Mr. Goff.
Mr. Markham's here, and I'm sure he could speak on this as well. The only reason that we're interested in trying to expedite this is because this property is available for sale. It's been held with first option for the school district for an amount of time. We may lose that property if we don't get it, and it could impede some other things that we're doing. I expressed to the board previously when this issue came up, we've done not tens of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in improvements to the McCall School that have not cost the district at all. Things that have been donated, private citizens have made donations. We just had a gazebo that was donated. And those are things that we appreciate. We have some really great business partners, as I'm aware some of the other schools do. Again, this figures into some of our long-term plans, some things that we want to do. Gentlemen talked about traffic out at Bennettsville, what's the intermediate school now, and we have the same issue at McCall. We have 3 public roads at the front of our school that our kids have to come in and out of. Schools can't control the roads, so that's left to the police officers. So what happens is in the afternoons, we have kids who are darting in and out of traffic, who are entering into roads that we can't control. We got signs. So, but with this, what this property is going to allow us to do is hopefully be able to move our parking to the rear so that we'll have pick up and entrance. That'll be able to happen at the back of the school and eliminate those 3 highways, one of them being 381, which is, again, about like Sherrall Street, one of the busier streets in the county. So I would appreciate the board's consideration on the matter tonight so that we could move forward with it. Again, the support for Clio, I support those things and will support them publicly and support them in a vote when that information comes back. So, I don't have any issue supporting them.
My thought is that we could tend to the McCall issue tonight.
Madam Chair, may I say something, please?
Yes, Ms. McLean?
I didn't come to you all last month, or not even last year about awnings. That's something I've asked for several years. And, we're talking about a parking lot, somewhere for people to park, but I'm talking about children getting wet. That's something we need. I think we need to consider getting awnings and some way to keep our children safe before we start talking about parking cars.
We're not talking about parking cars. We're talking about taking children out of lanes of traffic and out of the harm's way. That's what we're talking about.
And I'm talking about keeping children from getting sick.
And I'm fine with that. And if they have figures tonight that they would want to present, then I would be more than happy to vote in support of putting awnings and fencing at the Clio School.
Well, that's what we need to vote on.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Coachman?
I would like to just interject on it and say let's pass both of them because we know there's small projects in Clio. So let's take care of the small projects in Clio along with the land acquisition to McCall. At least we can get the kids out of the rain. At least we can get the parking, the pavement, and the fencing. So let's put those things in there with the McCall project. At least we'll have some of the small things out of the way, and we'll be able to address issues in both places.
Mr. Parks? We don't have it. That's the whole point.
Madam Chair.
Address the superintendent.
Madam Chair. Why don't,
May I?
Yes.
why not, I know that we want to get this done, but we just can't just out of the air do it. Ask Mr. Parks to get the figures for the Clio project and the McCall project. Bring it back to us to our next meeting, and then we can do it. I think that I appreciate your enthusiasm for fighting for your area, for McCall and Clio. And that's
my area.
No, I'm talking about Mr. Goff and Ms. McLean. They're fighting for their people, and they're fighting for our children, and all of them are worthwhile issues. But since we do not have dollar amounts, I would not want to go on record to just do something without a dollar amount. If Mr. Parks can bring that back to us by the next meeting, then perhaps we can do both.
And again, we have a dollar amount for McCall, and this issue was not introduced by myself. This issue was brought back up by Mr. Coachman, for the record.
I understand that, and I know.
Madam Chair.
I would like to amend.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Bright, I haven't spoken yet.
I haven't either. I just
I
want to say
didn't call
one
on
thing.
you?
No, ma'am, you didn't.
I'm sorry.
I also would like to fight for Bennettsville Intermediate, so I would like a price on that also. That we've been trying to get something done with that auditorium for years.
I know, it's $2 million.
Let's just not worry about trying to get the McCall School, we'll just put it all together. Dr. Tiller?
Thank you, Ms. Parsons. I'd just like to share that and just remind the board that on last year, the administration, we did a comprehensive look at all of our facilities needs across the district. And we brought that information to the board back in April and May. We did have the facilities committee met once and didn't get to meet again. We have completed the 5-year project, capital improvement project, so we've completed the first 5 years, and so we now need to have the board and any members that serve on the facilities committee to come back together to look at all of the needs of the district and then prioritize, because what we want to do is all of our needs, we want to make sure that we meet them. However, we know that we can't do everything all at once with limited funding. So I'm going to just appeal to the board and ask that we have the facilities meeting as soon as possible so we can prioritize, and so we'll know and can let the public know what our focus will be for this year, for year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5.
Before we call for the vote, I'd like to just reiterate that since we have a dollar amount for McCall, to vote on McCall doesn't mean that the other issues will be dropped at all. I would like to see us vote on acquisition of the McCall property, because it is a singular item in that if that property is sold, awning companies abound. You can put up awnings, you can put up fencing. There are many companies that can do that. But if the McCall property is sold, there is no more property next to it. That's my only issue with it. We have a price, and so if we could amend the motion and go ahead and vote to purchase the McCall property, get that out of the way, and then the other motion would still stand to complete the fencing, the awnings, and whatever things were in the other part of the motion.
Madam Chair, in the
That'd be
motion,
agreeable.
in the motion, we have the small projects for Clio. I would like, even if you vote on the McCall, I would like to have the small project that we just mentioned for Clio included in the motion. You still can purchase the property for McCall, but you want to make sure that we secure doing the work for Clio as soon as possible in that motion. We
And
can
there's
go
a
from the
motion.
land and straight to Clio.
So we're looking for an amendment to, I'm just trying to think how I can, give me a second.
Madam Chair.
Hang on just a second, Ms. Bright. Could the motion go as follows?
The motion's already on the floor.
If you will please stop and let me finish this.
You're
I will
talking about
appreciate it.
another motion. A motion is on the floor. If you will please stop.
Ms. McLean, we're discussing the possibility of an amendment.
You're making another motion.
Madam Chair, I would amend, I'd like to propose an amendment that we accept the McCall School project, that we approve the McCall School project, as well as the small needs for Clio, which would be the lighting, awning, and fencing, and that would be pending a dollar amount presented back to us from finance.
All right,
I
that'll
second that
work?
amendment.
All right, so now, is there a second on the amendment?
I second.
All right, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry, Mr. Coachman, I didn't know what you'd said. All right, so we have to vote on the amendment first, we go backwards.
I have a discussion.
All right, it was his amendment, so he starts first, he has no discussion. Ms. Bright?
I'm not ready to vote on this McCall issue, okay? And I definitely don't want to tie it in with the Clio issue. And the biggest problem that I have, okay, I understand that that auditorium in Bennettsville is going to cost a lot of money. But every year, if you say, I got to replace my door, it costs $10, I'm going to replace my door, but my roof is leaking. Okay, when that building fall down on those kids' head, then we'll be satisfied. We cannot keep putting the business of that intermediate school off. Now, I know we have we making plans toward doing things, but everybody thinks that all these other little things are so important. Well, that ceiling in that auditorium is a big thing to me, and it's very important. Okay? Again, I'm going to say, I am not ready to vote on this McCall issue, and I definitely do not want to tie it into the Clio issue. I have intended to go down there and look at that property in McCall, and I just have not gotten ready to do it. So I would appreciate it if we table that until the next meeting. I will definitely get a chance to go down there and look at it and decide on, make my decision as to whether or not I think we need that property.
So, yeah. All right, let's vote on the amendment, either up or down. All in favor of the amendment, raise your right hand. The amendment. She didn't make a motion. No. She just said she wasn't ready to vote, so she can vote against. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the motion is carried. Now the motion, the amendment is carried. Now the main motion for the small projects in Clio. All in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2. We had an amendment. We just voted on that. That passed. Now we have to vote on the main motion.
Restate it.
Yeah, the whole thing together. All right, so all in favor of the main motion, please raise your right hand.
Madam Chair, you always said you state the motion that we're voting on. Would you please do that for my clarification?
Yes. And Mr. Coachman, you tell me if I've got it right. All right? All right, the main motion, minus the amendment, is that we are voting to have the administration bring us figures on the cost of the awning, the fencing, what was the rest of it?
Paving.
What?
Paving.
The lighting, and all of those projects to be voted on subject to having a dollar amount.
That wasn't the motion. The motion, Madam Chairman, if I may clarify, was to prioritize those various things that we've talked about over the night, to prioritize them and to give us a dollar amount.
Right. And so we're voting to have them get the work done so that we can then vote on doing them.
Absolutely.
All right. Is that clear with everybody?
No, make the motion again.
All right.
I think you need to restate the motion and the amendment.
We've already voted on the amendment, and it's
Well,
passed.
it's still
Mr.
being
Coachman, restate your motion.
Make a motion that we approve acquiring the land property in McCall, also getting the lightings, the locker rooms, and the fencing, and fixing the basketball court in McCall, in Clio.
So let me get my clarification of it. So in other words, in order for me to vote on Clio, I have to approve McCall, the acquisition for McCall? Because that's what the motion stated.
The amendment was to go ahead and do McCall property now.
To buy the property in McCall?
Yes. And the way you can manage that with your opinion is to vote against the amendment.
I just asked you what it was to clarify to me. I didn't ask you how to manage it, okay? You should know, because what Ms. Onasia has stated is to prioritize doing these things that we need done. You cannot mix prioritizing what we need to be done and with approving the land for the McCall School. And Clio, I need to be clear on what we're voting for, because I'm hearing three different things. I'm hearing prioritizing for the McCall, Bennettsville, and Clio School. I'm also hearing approving the acquisition for the McCall School, buying that property. And then I'm hearing the other part of Clio, fixing up the light and getting the lighting and stuff. That's what I'm hearing, three different things.
The motion was originally made by Mr. Coachman. And so that's why I asked Mr. Coachman to restate his motion.
Well, may I make a comment, Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like to me you're holding the needs of Clio hostage is to get the McCall stuff. And I can't
Exactly. Not ever in my wildest dreams did I ever think of holding.
Both of those are not on here together. We don't need to vote for them together.
Mr. Gall.
This is the epitome of why people come out to watch our board meetings, because they're completely dysfunctional. We had, this was not, I'm gonna finish my statement. I'm gonna finish my statement. We had an impartial board member who, not from McCall, who brought up an issue and a concern, and we had a consensus agree. A consensus, that's all it takes. It's a majority. It takes 5 of us to agree to make something happen. It doesn't take 9 of us to make something happen. Sometimes you're on the good side of it, sometimes you're on the bad side of it. Such is life. That happens. Okay, but we've had essentially a bipartisan group come together and say, let's do this. We've got figures from McCall. We're going to approve that. That was in the amendment. That's what they agreed to. And the projects for Clio are not being held hostage. We're saying we're going to approve those. Bring us back some figures. That's it. But everything we do is a fight and a struggle, even when we're trying to work together. When we're trying to do things to help one another, yes, there's opposition, and it just doesn't make any sense to me that this is how we operate.
Madam Chair.
It's sad.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Bright.
Okay. Listen.
Vote
got
no
some
if you
land.
don't agree. That's your
I have
right.
some land that I want to sell. Okay? Okay. Marlboro County School District is not in the business of buying property from everybody that has property to be sold. Okay, if there's a legitimate reason why we need to purchase that land down there in McCall, okay, then we should be able to take the time and come to a consensus and get together and agree to purchase that land. I should not feel like I'm being railroaded to purchase land in McCall to get an honorary for Clio. And that is all I'm saying. That is how I feel tonight. Okay, so my question was, we can split it up. We can vote on McCall and we can vote on Clio. Okay, but we also need to vote on Bennettsville. Now, if it's a problem, because I don't want to feel railroaded into something, okay, then let it be a problem.
It's not a problem. The problem
Not very often do I say much.
Is that we all have a vote. There's been a lot of times when things have been
and I asked for the vote to be clear.
Vote no.
I asked for it to be clear so I can understand what I'm voting on.
One at a time.
Madam Chair.
Now we've got 3.
Madam Chair.
We have an amendment that has been duly voted on. And who was trying to?
I was.
All right, Ms. Fleming.
I think that this isn't, I don't see the urgency. I've seen the Clio people, this is their second time they've been back with the big continuity, which I respect and love. I am a Clio person, born and bred, and love Clio, and I appreciate you coming. I think to give them the respect that's due them, I don't see how I can, as a board member, to delay their issue since they've been here 2 consecutive meetings, and we've only had the former principal from McCall and a board member come with the McCall issue. Granted, both of those issues are good issues. We can't do everything. And I asked earlier that Mr. Parks look at the figures and bring it back to us, and then we can make a decision. Now, I was at a meeting with Mr. McLeod last Monday night. We were talking about some of these things that we're doing. Dr. Tiller has said that we need to prioritize, but that she's brought things before the board. Tonight, if we don't have dollar amounts, I don't buy anything, not even a cup of coffee from McDonald's unless I know it's going to cost me $1.10, because I like to know the price of what I'm spending before I put my money out there. I don't see the urgency for us to go ahead and do a call and then maybe come back with Clio. We can do them both at the same time, and I think we can do that, and because the Clio people deserve respect. They've been here, and there's a legitimate complaint, and I've sit beside Ms. McLean for months, and she's talked about the issue in Clio, and it is an issue that needs to be addressed, and our administration has tried to do that, and they're still trying. Let us give them time to do what they can do with the limited dollars that they can. We know that the auditorium is bright. It's going to be a $2 million project. That's, Mr. McLeod has made that pretty much a $2 million, maybe more. We can't do that this year. We know we can't. But we do what's doable, and let's not argue about it. We can, when Mr. Park brings us some figures back, I will be the first one to raise my right hand for it.
All right. Can you live with that, Ms. Bright? We've already voted.
No.
We've already voted on the amendment. Okay. And
No.
so,
Wait a minute, Ms. Parsons.
Ms. Fleming?
I think that what I'm saying is nobody gets anything tonight. Okay? Nobody gets, according to way I'm here, nobody gets anything tonight.
Ms. Fleming, we need to do a reconsideration. If you all want to play
Madam
that.
Chair, if I may.
Yes. Mr. Goff.
How long would it take for us to get those, a quote on getting those things done? And could we get it done in a week?
Can it be done at the next regular meeting?
Well, can it be done before that, is what I'm asking.
Madam Chairman, I think we're all interested in trying to do the best that we can do for all of our areas. I do want to share with everybody here that the McCall issue has come before us many months ago. We did not vote in favor of it because we didn't have all the facts at that time about costs. I do want to share with the community that Mackie Norton has been a principal in McCall for 30 years. He came before the board and said it was an emergency last month, actually 2 months ago. And we put it on the agenda, and then we put it off again to get monies. We've got an evaluation of the value of that lot. Now our decision is, do we want to protect the children in McCall? We have the information that we need. We can go forward. Our principal and our assistant principal have told us it's an urgent need, and I think we need to consider that and give it weight. And if the urgency is there for the safety of our children in McCall, and they've been asking us about this for some time, that it's fair to go forward on that. I also want to say that I know that we can provide concrete for our basketball courts in Clio. We can do that out of the budget we have. As for awnings and fencing, I don't know. We do need those figures. But that's the reason we're dealing with McCall, because there is an urgency about it. Clio's needs are also urgent, but I think, as Ms. Fleming has said, that we need numbers on that and a plan. So I don't think it's an antithesis to say, if we're going to honor what our principals tell us, that we move forward. And that was this amendment. The amendment was to move forward on McCall. As I understand it, the original motion was to prioritize the needs that we've expressed, which is Clio and all of its needs as expressed tonight, the Bennettsville Intermediate School auditorium, and also the McCall issue. The amendment prioritized the McCall and said, let's go forward with it. The motion now is, do we continue to prioritize? Then we vote on the amendment to the motion, as I understand it.
We've already voted on the amendment.
No, we voted on that, but we vote on the motion as amended. That's the third step.
Right.
Call for the
All right.
question.
Call for the question.
All right, all in favor of the main motion, please raise your right hand. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the motion's carried. All opposed? right, Ms. Fleming, Ms. Bright, and Ms. McLean. All right, and we move on. Yes, yes. All opposed to the amended motion, please raise your right hand. Are you opposed to the amendment?
I don't even understand what the amendment motion was.
Lord have mercy. Okay. So, did you get the people opposed to the amendment? All right.
Yes, ma'am, I abstain. I cannot not vote on Clio and vote for McCall.
All right. So, moving along, we're going to go to board members' actions. Mr. Coachman.
We've already done that.
Oh, we have? All right.
No, we haven't. That's what I'm going to do.
Not
Oh, that's
Mr.
Mr.
Coachman.
That's, we amended that at the beginning.
Oh, I thought it was both of them. I thought she just wanted her name on there. All right, Ms. McLean.
Madam Chair and fellow board members, I would like to play for you, in your hearing voice, a message left by Board Chairman Lucy Parsons on September 16, 2014. The message was left on the voicemail of a district employee.
Well, this is Lucy. I drove down Cottingham Boulevard and almost wrecked my car when I saw a huge billboard from the school district that says at the top, excellence without excuse. Never mind it being an oxymoron, and we don't have excellence, and Tiller makes some excuses, an inhuman being, I know, but it blows my mind that we're wasting money on PR stuff. I guess for her, I don't know, but it certainly is a total waste. Can you please call me and tell me how much money that cost and what company it was gotten from? I turned around and drove back to see whose company it was, and they won't even put the name of the company on the billboard. Please give me a call. Thank you. Bye.
I still don't have the information. All right.
Well, this is Lucy. I drove down Cottingham Boulevard and almost wrecked my car when I saw a huge billboard from the school district that says at the top, excellence without excuse. Never mind it being an oxymoron, and we don't have excellence, and Tiller makes some excuses, an inhuman being, I know, but it blows my mind that we're wasting money on PR stuff. I guess for her, I don't know.
Can we stop that recording,
But it
please?
certainly is a total waste. Can you please call me and tell me how much money that cost and what company it was gotten from? I turned around and drove back to see whose company it was, and they won't even put the name of the company on the billboard. Please give me a call. Thank you. Bye.
And I'm still waiting for that information. All right, let's move on. And
Okay,
Ms. Peterkin,
Madam Chair, I am going to propose a motion to censure you, which I have the right to do. Madam Vice Chair, I move the following resolution to censure. Whereas the chairperson, Ms. Lucy Parsons, has engaged once again in unfounded and improperly offered personal attacks on Superintendent Dr. Helena Tiller and the Marlboro County School District, namely by leaving a very derogatory voice message on the voicemail of one of the superintendent's subordinates. Whereas such conduct by the chair violates policy BDD, Board Superintendent Relationship, and policy BCA, Board Member Code of Ethics. Whereas such conduct is detrimental to the Marlboro County School District, the board, and the superintendent, now therefore be it resolved
that the chairperson be censured.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Is there any discussion? Since there's no discussion, call for the question. Any calls for the vote? Call for the vote for censure of the school board chairman.
Well, I guess some discussion. I guess my question would be to Mr. Duff, our attorney. I'm assuming that you can censure for a phone call. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read.
And that wasn't for a phone call, that was for the message left during the phone call.
I just want to make sure we do the right thing. Can you address that?
The motion to censor is like any other motion. If it's proposed and it's seconded, it's to be voted on. It is recognized and has occurred on some occasions that a board member is censored by his or her board. So if it's a properly made motion that's properly seconded, it can be debated, and then when the debate is concluded, it can be voted on.
I'm not worried about it.
Is there any other debate?
Yeah, I just want to say, I just want to, as a board member, apologize to the parents, because there is excellence in our district. Matter of fact, it's all over our district, and it's even in my home. I have 3 grandchildren, and they're excellent. So I find it kind of appalling to say there's no excellence in the Marlboro County School District. So I apologize to you all for having to hear that message.
Any other remarks?
I also would like to apologize to the employee who had to find this kind of message left on his answering service. You know, it was a message left about this person's supervisor. And you know, what is he supposed to do with that? I think the billboard is beautiful. We do have excellence in Marlboro County. We're doing a good job in Marlboro County, and we would do a better job. We would do a better job if we could get past this kind of stuff, and everybody work together, and everybody work toward the betterment of the school district rather than to work to the detriment of the school district.
Madam Vice Chair, may I make some comments? At my church yesterday, Monica Wood's mother said that she's been accepted as in the nursing program that Florence at McLeod Hospital. An excellent student. Her sister was an excellent student. Every child comes through my church. I do the children's sermon, and I tell them failure is unacceptable, and they have never failed me in the last 30 years. And when we look at the number of honor graduates that graduated this past June, they were excellent. And the number that went on to college got over $5.5 million in scholarship money. I consider that excellent. And all the children, I don't have to go back 10 years or even just, I can go back right now, and I am here because our children can and will, as Miss Redding said, she put there, and I wrote it down, what she's going to do. Has high expectancy, quality. She's going to work with the parents in the community. She's going to praise, she's going to encourage, and she's going to celebrate, and she's going to forgive. That is what I want for every child in this district. And if the parents or the children can ride down the road and see something that tells them how great they are, it makes me feel good. When I ride down Interstate 95 and I saw those billboards up there with Oprah and Mr. Mandela and several other people, it says inspiration, just one word, encourage, just one word. And when we are talking about our leader of this board, who has continually from day one insulted, criticized everybody, and put everyone down. That is not right, and it is, and I'm not going to sit here and just allow her to just fluff it over. We've censured her once, and we've censured her again. When you go November 4th, you do the final century.
All right.
Any other remarks?
Call for the vote.
Sick of this.
Mr. Goff has remarks, please.
Just real quick. I hope that we can, again, as a board, I've had some discussions with some of my board members over the last couple of weeks. I hope we can get past this as a board. And I honestly hope that we can get back, because, again, these are public meetings. Okay? This is us doing the business of the district. There's no reason for us to spend a half an hour, 40 minutes, every meeting throwing rocks at each other. And, you know, like I said, it's sad. We disagree. That's fine. I don't have a problem disagreeing. I voted with and against pretty much everybody on this board over the course of the last 5.5 years. And over the next 2.5 years, I'm certain that I'm probably going to vote with and against everybody on this board at some point in time. We have to be careful about the things that we can have opinions, but again, how we convey those things. You have to be really, really careful. But again, as a board, we have a lot of work to do to improve our relations. And I think that starts at the top. I think that starts at the top of our board, and I think that starts at the top of our district administration to help foster relationships with the board other than trying to undermine and tear them down. I worked with some people one time, and they said as long as they kept animosity amongst everybody below them, they didn't have to worry about anybody bothering them. And I think that I see that a lot within our district. So it's up to us. We're elected to represent you, and it's up to us to get past those things and to get past those far lefts and far rights and start trying to move forward and do the things that are right for the district. And I really hope that we can start trying to do that, as we move forward.
I think that, Mr. Goff, whenever we are ridiculed in the paper, we are pretty much called out. And on all these social medias, we're called out all the time. And then now we've been called out, now they're calling our children out. And I want to get along, and I haven't been in a fight since I was in the 5th grade, and don't plan to get in another one in my life. But I will stand up for myself, and I'll stand up for my children. And I want to get along. But if it means fighting for these children, and if you're not going to respect them, do get out of the way. If anyone read that article, that full page in the Marlboro Herald, we were blasted. We were blasted.
Well, and
that does not make me feel good.
Well, and to the same degree, it didn't make me feel good to come to a public meeting that had been voted on by a majority of the boards. We go back and read this confidential Freedom of Information Act. Nobody tried to hide that we were having a public forum. We voted on it. A consensus of the board voted on it, and a consensus of the board attended to listen to our constituents. That's what we went out to that's what the forum was for. And
Mr. Goff,
as a board, just let me finish. As a board, we hire someone to represent us to the public. And so for me, it was disappointing to go out and not have our staff represented, and then come back and read this a week later like we tried to have a meeting that we weren't supposed to have. We voted to have the meeting.
Well, you voted, you did what you needed to do, and I did what I needed to do.
A majority of the board voted, just like the majority of the board votes.
Point of order, I made the choice to stay home, and I'm glad I did.
Okay, thank you.
We have this school district transferred 2,200 children daily. And the Marlboro Herald said over 50 attended. Well, they had a full-page ad, a full picture. I didn't count 50 people. Now, if there were 50 there, and that is fine. And for the parents that have a problem, and you, Mr. McNeil, I understand. Don't think that I do not understand, but we have a job to do. and we are doing the very best that we can. We cannot please everyone, and if the law says do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and abide by FOIA. I'm going to do that. And when people do things, there's consequences to your action, and you might as well face that fact. Okay. And when you do things, there's consequences. And when you blast me in the paper, there's consequences for that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Onasia.
The Bible says forgive. I think we as a board and a community need to recognize we all have faults, we all make mistakes. And I think to move on, we have to look into our hearts and examine those things that we might not have done so well. On the other hand, we don't want to attack each other. I just don't see that that does any good. We need to work together. And that's what we're about for our children. You know, this is about our children, not about personal vendettas. It takes a strength to say, let's stand up for kids. Are we satisfied with our past scores? Are we satisfied? No. Are we satisfied with our graduation rates? No. Do we think we've made progress? I think so. Do you believe in your children? I do. And I think that's why most people are on this board. And we appreciate you coming out, but let's act like it. Let's act like a community pulling together for our kids.
Okay, Ms. Donation, okay, well, let's do it not when we have a big crowd here. Let's do it when we have 3 or 4 people. Let me tell you something about forgiveness. Please don't go down that road with me. Please don't, because from the top of this government right on down to this Joe whatever name from Columbia, when he insulted the president, whenever the man cheated on his wife and all of this stuff and did everything, all they say is I'm sorry, and they continue to do it. That is what you want me to do, to sit here and listen to some half-baked apology, and you go out and do the same thing again? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You have an audience here. You are on the spot tonight. That is why you're putting forth your good face.
I think to have a public forum where people are invited to talk about their children, if that's got to be a violation of FOIA, I think somebody has misunderstood FOIA. And so I am happy to listen to people. I'm happy to get input. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything I hear, but I certainly am not going to close the door on the members of this community who are concerned about their children. Just not going to do it.
Thank you. Okay. We are now discussing the censorship of the chairman. If anybody else has any remarks regarding that, then I would say, I will entertain it. If not, I will make my remarks and then I will call for the question. Okay. My remarks are, glory, hallelujah. I know right now everybody, the emotions are riled up right now. And while some things are not called for and will never be tolerated, I agree with the board members when they say that our kids are excellent. We are achieving to change, we are striving to change Marlboro County for the better. And it takes work. No, we're not where we want to be, but we're working towards that. The public had the right to hear what was said. So we are now voting on what was said, and we're saying, as the board, we do not support that position from any member of the board. We are going to have disagreements, there is no doubt. Everybody in this room has disagreements with somebody. And I know some say these board meetings take too long. But you know what? Sometimes we got to duke it out. But at the end of the day, like Ms. O say, after you duke it out, after you don't say what you need to say, then you forgive the person and you let it go. So that's why we're going to censor now. And I'm going to call for the question so we can go on to the next item on the agenda. Call for the question. Vote. All in favor? I'm sorry, Mr. Branch, I can't see if you're voting. Okay, so, okay, all opposed? Okay. It's unanimous, except for the chairman.
All right, before we go on to the next item, which is the STEAM program, we need to clarify that there was a vote in the last meeting to have the forum, and it is typically the responsibility of the superintendent's office to notify the newspaper and to post the notice on the door of the school. There was a notice.
And Ms. Parsons, we did all of that.
Well,
We did alert the parents. We sent out an information home, and we did a call to parents. We also did, Lynn did post it, and we did all of that. But the issue is, it was not a board meeting. It was not a regular scheduled board meeting. It was not a special call board meeting. It was not a retreat of the board, and it was not a workshop. What you voted on was a parent forum. And so we did exactly what you said that we were supposed to do. It was a parent forum. It was not a call meeting or a regular scheduled meeting. So you don't do the same things. So again, and normally, if there's a parent forum that's going to be held, the board will normally give the superintendent that directive to pull that together. In other words, to hold that, because again, the types of things that the parents wanted to discuss, the few that did want to discuss it, again, it's the administration that will have to make those changes, because the board, it's not your role. It's our role. We have to do that. So that was the reason. Because several board members, if you recall that evening, asked you, did you want to have a special call meeting?
yes, and that's what I thought we were doing.
It was voted down. Also, a work session was voted down. And then what you said was, no, we'll have a parent forum. So we followed exactly what you directed us to do, and that's what I did.
The newspaper was not informed. They knew it, and so
Evidently, she knew it. She was here because she was here the night when you said you were going to have the parent forum. At what date? In the date that you said you were going to have the parent forum, she was here just like anyone else who was at that meeting heard it that evening.
I'm not even going to try and continue this because you overtalk me every time I've said something.
Well, you know what, Ms. Parsons, no, Ms. Parsons, wait a minute. You know what? You and Mr. Goff, you disrespect me. You treat me with disrespect over and over again. You come meeting after meeting and you attack. You attack through emails. You send stuff all the time. So please, if we really want to do like Ms. O said and all get along and move forward, then you all need to let the administration do their jobs, and you need to quit attacking me behind closed doors. If you want to attack me in front of the public so everybody will know where everybody stands. Because I'm trying to do what you asked me to do.
Since you brought Mr. Goff into it, I'll say, if there's an issue that I get from a parent or I get it from a citizen, then I forward those issues to you. I always have. One that I forwarded last week got me called a liar by another one of the board members for just forwarding what somebody said. You know, the issue is that these are meetings of the board. These are not, and this is where my issue comes in. These are board meetings. These are not district staff meetings. These are not the superintendent's meetings. These are board meetings that are to be handled by the board. We're doing our business.
This
That's what
still
we're
does
here- no,
not
excuse-
give
excuse
you
me,
the right
excuse me,
to
Dr.
attack
Fitz.
me.
I'm not attacking
Yes, you have. You've done it
No, ma'am.
repeatedly, meeting
Well,
after meeting.
I didn't have to
Look at the
apologize last
tapes.
meeting for my behavior.
Look at the tapes.
Look at them.
Look
please.
at them. Everybody
Please
needs
look
to
at
go
them.
and review them. You've
But this
attacked
is-
me.
but again, this is
You've
the thing
attacked
is-
my
Excuse me, one at a time,
administration
please. Respect,
over and
please.
over again.
Let's
Over and over
Can I
again,
finish
just
my
like all the improvements, no ma'am, all the
No,
improvements
Dr.
that we've
Taylor,
made
he
as a
was
district,
speaking.
you all always try to downplay it. And that's what you need to do. And what you're doing is you're attacking our children. You're not attacking
My
me.
chi- my children-
No,
my
no,
children
no.
are in these schools,
No,
Dr.
you're
Taylor.
attacking, yeah,
My
yeah,
children
yeah.
are in these schools.
But like you said.
So I don't live somewhere else and pay
Mr.
taxes
Goff.
somewhere else. My children go to school here.
I understand.
That's what I'm supporting. But if I have issues, then I'm going to address those issues because
That's
again,
fine
our
that
only
you address
responsibility
them.
is to
It's
make sure
not-
that the superintendent.
It's how
is
you
doing what
address
she's-
them.
No, well,
It's how you address
If we
them.
were informed.
In your
and we were kept
disrespectful
abreast,
manner.
then we wouldn't have to do things.
You
the way
are informed.
we are. No, we're
Excuse
You
me
have
for a moment,
selective
please.
memory.
This is an
Excuse me, can y'all give each other
thing.
one at a time?
I was trying. I'm done. I was trying to talk before I was interrupted.
Let's move
so.
on. This is pointless.
No, it's not pointless
It is
either.
pointless,
It's
and
pointless when
We're moving on.
it's not
Ms.
pointless.
Peterkin,
It is
Madam
not
Chair,
pointless. It's
this
okay
is-
when you
Ms.
all come here
Peterkin,
week after week,
You
month
can't make
after
the
month,
decision
and beat
for
up
me.
on me and the administration.
continue with the stand.
So it's not okay. It's not okay.
It's not. You can't make this decision for me.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Ms. Parsons, you brought up a subject that was not on the agenda, and Dr. Taylor and Mr. Goff responded in kind to what you brought up. And I heard Ms. Nan starting to talk. Now, it was an item that was not on the agenda, but you opened Pandora's box. We need to be careful if we do not want anybody to respond to something, we shouldn't put it out there.
That's what the
Now,
Bible
understand people are riled up. I just ask that we take a moment, take a breath,
Would you please
take a moment, excuse me, Madam
with
Chairman.
the meeting?
Excuse me, Madam Chairman. See, that's why we get into these arguments, because we don't respect when somebody else is trying to say something special when we're trying to calm the situation down. Really? So, we might not agree with what somebody says, but we owe them the respect to let them say what they gotta say and then respond.
Ms. Peterkin, could you move on with
Okay.
the STEAM item?
Next item.
Next item on the agenda is my item, STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, art, and music. In our district, we have been, across the state, it's been STEM. And now they've included A for arts. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, and it's not something that our district is not doing, because Dr. Tiller has been working hard to include the arts throughout our county. But I just want to reiterate that it is now changed, and that we need to, you know, as a district, make sure that we give equal focus to the arts. And if you were to look behind you on the tables, we have our students' artwork up. And a lot of times, we don't really focus on art. We don't think art is that important. But when you look at your clothes, you look at the jewelry that you wear, that comes from an artist. That comes from somebody's designing. That comes from that creativity. So for so long in our state, they've been cutting back funding for arts because they said arts aren't essential. But that's that creative part that each of us has. And it feeds into everything else. So as we venture forward to work on STEAM, I just want you to be mindful that we are going to be focusing more on the arts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next, board members' discussion and decision concerning board compensation. Did you want to do that or postpone it?
Yeah, well, I wanted to, well, first I want to say it took us 2 hours and 15 minutes to finally get to something about education.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mr. Peterkin.
Mr. Brandt, please get close to the microphone, can't hear you.
I said it took us 2 hours and 15 minutes to get to something about education. No, I just wanted to table this and maybe do a workshop
Let's
sometime
postpone.
later in the year. I mean, we
Okay.
can go ahead and set up the workshop now if you'd like.
Do you have a date proposed?
A workshop on what?
The second Monday in December.
Would you arrange?